Welcome to the HohO Show.
Rated the #1 most listened to podcast on Pluto. So join us now as we discuss news, politics, current events, and so much more. So clear the airwaves and strap in as we
defend the Constitution, because freedom matters.
Broadcasting live from Weaponized Sloth Productions Studio B. Welcome to the HohO Show, and as always, I'm your host, HohO. So how y'all's doing? I hope you're doing good. I really do. So, let's see here. A little bit of an update right quick before I get into the show. So, WSPradio.com is live again. I had issues with it, but I was able to get those issues rectified, and now everything is good to go. Yeah, it is. It's good to go, and I'm just checking on a couple things. Give me just a moment, just trying to make sure that everything is good to go. And so far, I guess it is. Maybe. Huh. Then again, maybe not. I don't know. It doesn't look like I'm actually connected. That's kind of weird. Let me double check through here. And hold on a second. Let's make sure that it... Okay. And whatnot. Okay, never mind. Maybe it is going. Very, very good. I did... That's supposed to be that, though. There we go. All right, so... No, that's not going correctly. Man, I don't know what the problem is. That's weird. It's supposed to be going live, but it doesn't look like I am connected. Huh. Anyway, let's just go ahead and get into it. But anyway, yeah, it's supposed to be going. It doesn't appear to be, unfortunately. I don't know why. That's kind of weird because, all the stream settings are good. Let's get back into it. I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah, I have no idea. Because it doesn't even show I'm connected in there. That's just kind of weird. I'm going to stop and let's reconnect real quick. Let's see if that does anything. And again, I apologize. There. Do that and do that. This is supposed to be... There we go. Now it's going. Very awesome. So now it's going. But anyway, I do have something that I gotta let you know on what is going on, because this is just really cool. So I had WSPradio.com shut down because I wasn't able to do the payment, because apparently Radio.co is in the UK. They're known for fraud, and so I couldn't do a payment to them and whatnot. I was able to get that figured out. But one of the things I was able to add to WSPradio.com is a chat feature, and of which case I am excited about that. So if you head on over to WSPradio.com and you scroll down past the thing for the show, then it does show up the chat window. It is there. It's pretty stinking cool. I like it. I'm excited to be able to use that. I really am. I think it's nifty. It doesn't take much to get me excited sometimes. It's just the way that it is. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the show. Now, y'all know how I like to start the program. Y'all know that I like to start off with a little bit of satire, a little bit of ha-ha. And y'all know that my go-to source for satire news is the Babylon Bee. Now, normally I do satire with a purpose. Normally I do. That's how I prefer to do it. That's how I, prefer to roll. But this time it's like, nah. Because this headline, it cracked me up, and I gotta share it with you. So, headline from the Babylon Bee: man using stud finder sentenced to 6 years in prison for failing to point it at himself and go beep. I seen that and I laughed because, this was actually something that happened earlier, in the week. Because I was talking about, I hope a stud is there. And the guy's like, do you have a stud finder? And I'm like, actually, no, I don't. So, that's why this one made me kind of laugh. But, here's the thing, though, in all honesty, it's not pointing it at yourself and then going beep. That's not actually how the man law says that you're supposed to use a stud finder. You're supposed to put it on your chest, and the stud finder is going to find the stud because your sternum right there. There you go. I know I'm giving up a little bit of of man law here, and to the council I apologize. Not really. I don't care. But it's going to beep itself, and then you're supposed to say, found one, and that's pretty much what it amounts to. But you got to put it on yourself, and you got to say something. And I guess if it doesn't beep, then either you're not a stud or, you're supposed to make one up with a beep, and there you go. Anyway. Yeah. And going into not exactly satire, it's satire news because this is something that I think I talked about couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. I'm not 100% sure, but this headline from National Review, and this is another one I kind of had to laugh about, but the headline: sorry, Canada, we don't want you. Yeah. But, there was some stuff going on, a joke that Trump made about, Canada being the 51st state. And, the bottom line is, no, we don't want Canada as a 51st state. I'm sorry, we don't. Especially conservatives, we do not want Canada as a 51st state because Canada, let's just face it, let's just be honest. They're a very much more of a liberal nation than not liberal nation, as in libertarian, as in, freedom country. They are not at all. Really not even a little bit. They're not. And so it's like, we don't want them as a 51st state. And it was a joke, people. It really was. I don't know why people was getting so much up in arms about this because it's like, dude, it was a joke. He wasn't serious about it whenever he said we're going to make Canada the 51st state. No, we're not going to do that. That's just ridiculous. It was a dig towards Canada. That's all it amounted to. And it kind of came from talking about tariffs. This headline from Mrs. Institute, I've never heard of them, but the headline is why smart people are rightly confused about tariffs. I don't understand that one because I'm not confused about tariffs whatsoever. I understand what Trump's talking about with this. I really do. Why people are confused about tariffs is beyond me. Maybe it's because it's not really something that's been, front and center for a while. And people really don't understand American history. You see, back in the day, well, let me premise this by saying this. Paying income tax is pretty new. This isn't something that's been around like since our nation's founding, in all honesty, and I don't care about. Okay. All right, cool. I don't, let me mute my phone. I apologize. It was unmuted. Okay. And we're muted. Very good. I mean, it could be argued that, income tax is unconstitutional. I know there was what amendment was it that talked about, income tax and taxes in general? I don't remember. But anyway, income tax is pretty new. It's not like it's something that's been around since the beginning. It was something that was very new. But our nation always needed the ability to get money. It always needed a source of income, if you will. The federal government did because, you got to pay for things. You got to, it's just how it works. You got to pay for things. And in order to do that, you have to have an income. You got to have money coming in. And what we did in the beginning was tariffs. That's how we paid for government. It wasn't income tax. It wasn't even sales tax. It was tariffs. That's how, in the beginning, in our nation's birth, that's how we paid for things on the federal level, was charging tariffs on imported items. That's how it was done. This isn't a new concept. That's how it was done, people. And we've kind of gotten away from tariffs in favor of, charging our own people money to operate things in the government. And I got to be honest with you, I am completely in favor of tariffs, and here's why. I'm completely in favor of them. And it's from the aspect of fair trade. Okay? You see, we have a lot of imports into this country. We really do. We are the biggest consumer of goods on the planet. And for a lot of countries, many countries, it's a make or break issue whether their products are allowed into the United States. I mean, that's a fact. Okay, that's a fact. Just throwing it out there, it's a fact. And how it works is other countries either use tariff in name, or they use, a back alley way of doing a tariff on American goods that gets exported to those countries. Either they put a tariff on our goods, or they do what's called a value added tax, and they throw the tariff on there on the back end. And it's what this does is this makes it to where, these other countries are protecting, like China, they're protecting their own goods and making American products, American-made products that we export over to there, making it so expensive that, people of their country can't buy it. That's what they do. And that's how they've been doing it for quite some time. I mean, it really is. That's how it is. We don't put tariffs on their stuff. They put tariffs on our stuff, whether it be in the name of tariffs or whether it be in the name of a value-added tax. That's how they do it. And it's ridiculous. It really is. But they are doing that to protect their own interests. They're doing it to protect their own workers. They're doing it to protect, their own people, so that this way they're able to keep a job and do all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like a union, protecting union workers, throwing that in quotation marks. But that's what it amounts to. We don't do anything to protect American workers, let alone, the American taxpayer. I mean, good grief. We can talk about taxes all freaking day long. I mean, I absolutely hate taxes. And it's not necessarily the fact that I hate taxes. I hate the idea that we don't have equality, because how much you pay in taxes is based off of, your marital status. It's based off of your race, color, and creed. And it's based off of how much money you make. It's like, that's ridiculous. How can you claim to be a nation that is founded upon and still is based off of equality whenever there isn't equality in the tax code whatsoever? I'm against it. We should have a flat tax, or we should do away with taxes altogether, and it should be a fair tax basically based off of what you purchase. Granted, that's going to mean the sales tax goes up, but at the same time, you're not paying an income tax, so there you go. You get more money on your paycheck. Isn't that a good thing? Anyway, I agree with tariffs because we need to protect American labor. We need to operate under fairness. If you want to tariff our goods, fine, so be it. But don't be surprised whenever we tariff your goods. That's called fairness. Fairness doesn't mean you shit all over America and we don't do anything about it. That we do everything that we can to cater to you, and we're okay with you guys just crapping all over us. I mean, that's not how this is supposed to work. It's not. So if you don't want us to put tariffs on your stuff, well, then stop tariffing ours. Now, I think it's kind of, strange that he's like, okay, you want us to not, put tariffs on your goods, well, then bring, manufacturing over here. But I mean, I kind of like that idea. It sounds good in practice, but at the same time, I think that's a bit of a, maybe he, a bridge too far, if you will. What I would like to see is fairness. That's what I want to see. If you're going to tariff our product, then we're going to tariff yours. Period. End of story. If you don't like it, then don't tariff our stuff. Don't put a value tax on our stuff to make it out of the price range and to protect your own industry. I mean, don't be surprised whenever we do the same thing on our end. I mean, that's just the way it is. Why is that so hard to understand? That's what the whole point of a tariff is. Fairness. Let me know what you guys think about fairness. I'm kind of curious. Let me know down in the comments, or, put a comment out there in WSPradio.com. And of course, if you are listening live, you can put your comments there over in Rumble and YouTube. And I'm not actually on Twitch right now. Twitch. Yeah, I'm not on Twitch, and I haven't been on Twitch for a while. I mean, X. I'm not on X right now. Reasons. It doesn't matter. But anyway, moving on. This headline from ABC News. Trump asks Supreme Court to delay TikTok sale deadline. And the High Court is set to hear arguments on January 10th. So just, not even a week away, like Friday then of next week. Yeah. Well, that's coming up. But I'm sure all of you are aware of, the TikTok ban, and of which case I don't understand it. I really don't, because the whole the whole thing about it is they're trying to protect Americans against, being hacked and their information going over to China, because they claim that TikTok is a China-owned company, and of which case I don't actually think it is. I think it's actually owned in like Singapore or something, maybe, but at any rate, it's like, really, you're concerned all of a sudden of China taking our data and our information. It's like, dude, didn't we have that balloon that came over and, gathered up all kinds of information? We finally downed it after it had come, crossed over Alaska, down through Canada, into, the country, hovering over sensitive areas, and then going out through, I believe, North Carolina. And whenever we downed it finally in the ocean, we seen that they had, radio equipment on there that had the ability to capture who knows what and transmit it back to China. Now you're concerned about China taking our information. I don't buy it. And you have Facebook, you have Google, you have all kinds of American-based companies and just companies in general that take our data all the time. I mean, here's the thing, people. There is no such thing as a free service. There really isn't. Be leery of free services, because the fact of the matter is, either you are the product or you're the consumer. That's how it is. There is nothing for free, especially when you're talking during the digital age. So, I mean, you're using, Gmail, you're using this, that, or the other. They're tracking your information. They're tracking your search history. Of course they are. Everybody knows this. They sell it. That's how they make money. How do you think Google makes money? They make all kinds of money. Why? Because they sell your information. It's pretty simple. Of course they are. And now all of a sudden we're concerned because TikTok is doing it, even though Chinese government's already getting all your information from all these various places because they're embedded everywhere. Of course they have your information. The whole entire reason why they're banning TikTok, and here's the scary part about the TikTok ban, because how they worded it, this ban, they basically worded it in such a way that they can also ban and shut down X, Truth Social. That's how they worded it. It wasn't about TikTok. They used TikTok as a scare tactic. I mean, here's the thing, man. It's like I've been on TikTok for a while. I watch TikTok stuff. I really do. It's amazing how they claim that, oh, TikTok is bad, but yet, Biden is using TikTok. Well, somebody for Biden is using TikTok. A lot of people on the Democrat side are using TikTok, and yet they're going, oh, TikTok is bad. We don't want TikTok. All these people who are saying that, oh, TikTok is bad, they're using TikTok. They're on TikTok. They're advertising on TikTok. They're trying to expand their reach on TikTok. It's pretty hypocritical, don't you think? I think it is. But I've been on TikTok, and I tell you what, there's a lot of variety of stuff on TikTok, and it's also based off of your viewing habits, what you watch, what you like, what you follow, all these other kind of things. That's how algorithms are supposed to act. You want to know why they want to ban TikTok? I mean, it's pretty simple. They want to ban TikTok not because they're afraid of China getting your information, but they're wanting to ban TikTok because they do not control, as in the liberal left, as in legacy media, they do not control the content on TikTok. That's why they want to ban it. It's that simple. That's also why they want to ban X. That's why they want to ban, Truth Social. That's why they want to get rid of those two platforms. And they also want to get rid of Rumble. They want to do that because they do not control Rumble. This last election that we had is the first time in history that legacy media hasn't been in charge and control of the narrative because they didn't have True Social to force their agenda down. They didn't have X to force their agenda down. They didn't have Rumble to force their agenda down. Force their agenda down the throats of Americans. And they didn't have TikTok to force their agenda down the throats of American citizens. They didn't have the ability to 100% control the narrative. And unfortunately, it was caught by so many people that, legacy news lies to you. They have an agenda. It's not about news. It's not about the when, the where, the what, the why, the how. It's about the narrative. They didn't like the idea that they was unable to control the narrative, and that's why they want to remove TikTok. They wanted this ban, not just to remove TikTok, but to remove everyone who offers a freedom of speech platform, because they want to be in control of the information. Period. End of story. That's what it amounts to. They want to be in control of the flow of information and ideas. They do not want that to be up to the American people. They want it to be up to them. And I'm sorry, but that's a gross violation of the Constitution. I mean, it just is, Look in the UK, they're banning all kinds of things. They're banning all kinds of speech, what you can say about this, that, and the other. And you know what? That's fine for them. But we fought a war for a reason. And that reason was freedom. Over here in the United States, we expect more from platforms, especially whenever you take into consideration that a platform is supposed to be a message board. It's supposed to be a platform. That's why they have liability protections to where you can't sue them for the things that are posted on their site. Why? Because it's a platform. As long as you are not promoting or breaking the law, then everything else should go. It's the Wild West out there. It really is. And you know what? Sometimes freedom looks a little messy, but I would much rather have messy freedom than clean adherence to whatever the government wants. ABC News can be sued for what they say. Why? Because it is a publisher. They choose what goes on their site. They choose the articles they post. They choose. And therefore, they're liable for everything that comes out of ABC News. X, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, Truth Social. These are platforms. They're not liable. They have protections. And the only reason to moderate these people, the people that are using these platforms, huge difference between platform and a publication, is if they're actually promoting and doing illegal activity. That's it. If you ain't doing that, then why the heck are you moderating? Why are you limiting? Why are you banning? Why are you doing all this other kind of crap? Fact of the matter is, Legacy News, the government in general, Washington, D.C., doesn't want the free exchange of information and ideas. They want people to be in the dark. People that are ignorant about what's going on is easier to control. It's easier to get somebody to do whatever it is that you want to do if they are uninformed about what's going on. The biggest defense for freedom is an educated electorate. It is. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. And when I return, we've got some more stuff to talk about. We are going to be getting into, we're going to talk a little bit about Biden and what has been going on that front. Some information to put out there. And, I tell you what, I'm pretty ticked off about what Biden has been doing as of recently with awarding things to people that why in the hell are you awarding them things about the pardons, everything else. I mean, holy crap. What has been going on, what Biden has been doing on the way out the door is an absolute disgrace. Period. End of story. It is a disgrace. So just a couple minutes and I will be right back. Don't go nowhere.
They told me bad, stomach screaming, everything's mad. Glass of white, no friend of mine. Pain unfurls, can't toe the line. Ice cream dreams, but bodies cursed. Every trap. One bite sends a thunderclap. Frozen treats, a sweet mirage. Endless aches in body's garage. Butter slathers, a deadly smear. Gastric chaos always near. Yogurt graveyard, creamy too. Bowled over in digestive doom. No milk, no mercy, hell no more. Screaming fire in my core. Curling pain can't ignore. Lactose life, a bitter war. A bitter war. Brother slathers, a deadly smear. Gastric chaos always near. Yogurt graveyard, creamy too. Bowled over in digestive No milk, no mercy, hell no more. Screaming fire in my core. Curdling pain can't ignore. Lactose life, a bitter war. The bitter war. No, there's no bitter
Do you work at any of the myriad of jobs where you might have to sit on your bum all day? Well, if so, maybe you know what it's like to suffer from the condition known as swamp ass. Well, if so, have I got the solution for you?
Anti-monkey butt powder.
That's right.
Anti-monkey butt powder.
You can use it indoors, outdoors, work or play, or on any occasion when you sit on your bum all day. Don't let your buns get red. Use anti-monkey butt powder instead. Available wherever anti-friction powder is sold. All right, and we are back. So, let's go ahead and get into this. Because this next segment is, it's going to be one of those segments. Just letting you know. Just warning you ahead of time. It's going to be one of those segments. We're going to start off here with the National Review headline. Why do we accept government by an invalid? You see, we currently have a president in office who is, well, they claim making the decisions for the nation. I mean, that's what they claim. That he's making decision. Oh, well, no wonder why. Making decisions for, the country. Making decisions for everybody. He's got his, he has access to the red button, to the nuclear codes, to the football. Somebody whom was, investigated for his mishandling of classified information, something that, Hillary Clinton was also guilty of, but, she was never charged with. And then you have, everything that happened against Trump regarding the mishandling of classified information, even though that he wasn't actually guilty of mishandling classified information, but, whatever. And the guy who investigated the mishandling of classified information by one Joe Biden, he said in his report that, yeah, he did mishandle classified information, but you know what? He's a senile old guy, so I don't see the point in, actually charging him. He's a senile old guy. He's senile. That, 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 are you? He's senile. So he can't be charged because he's mentally deficient. And yet this is the guy who is running the country. I throw that in quotation marks. Absolutely I do, because we all know that he's not actually in charge. But here he is in the Oval Office, somebody who isn't competent enough to stand trial for the mishandling of classified information, but yet he's competent enough to be president. And we put up with this as American citizens. We put up with this. We tolerate this. Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Absolutely it does. So we all know that he's not actually in control of the country. We all know this. This isn't a surprise to anybody. You know, because we have seen his mental decline since day one. We've seen it. We've seen what he's done. We've seen, him struggle throughout the entire process. We know that somebody else is pulling the strings, but this headline, even though somebody else is pulling the strings, is still significant. This headline from the Washington Free Beacon: in last-ditch executive order, Biden plans to permanently handicap Trump's offshore drilling agenda. See, that's one of the things that Trump wants to do in order to kickstart the economy, is with drilling. Drill, baby, drill. That's what he wants to do. And rightfully so. Energy is the fastest way to get everything back on track with the economy. Because if you remember, during Trump's administration, we were energy independent. We were a net exporter of oil, natural gas. A net exporter. In other words, we exported more than we imported. For the first time in history since the Industrial Revolution, we were energy independent. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if y'all are aware of this, but here's the thing whenever it comes to executive orders. You see, there is a reason why it is the legislative branch's job. They are the only one that is given the power to write laws in the Constitution. There's a reason behind this. Why? Because if Congress does it, then that makes it legit. The executive branch does not have the power nor the authority to write laws, but that's basically exactly what an executive order is, and especially an executive order of this type. But here's the problem with an executive order. Every executive order written by one president can be undone, thrown away, and dismantled by the next president. So him doing a last-ditch effort to permanently handicap Trump's offshore drilling agenda, it isn't going to work because it is an executive order. One, they're not constitutional, or at least they're not constitutional whenever they're dealing with, forcing law. I mean, if he wants to, do an executive order about how, this or that agency is going to be run, fine, sure. You have the right and the ability and the power to do that. But whenever you're talking about this, trying to handicap Trump's effort for offshore drilling, no, that's not going to fly. It's not going to stand, because all Trump has to do is go in there and say, I wipe away that executive order. That's exactly what Joe Biden did whenever he got into office. Was he overturned, he canceled, he got rid of every one of Trump's executive orders, that the most that anybody's ever done in history. And Joe Biden did it. Now, granted, we all know that Joe Biden is not the one who's actually in charge, but even still, why do they actually think that this is going to work? I mean, it isn't like last time, whenever Trump was in office, whenever he tried to overturn DACA. Dreamers and deceivers. He wanted to get rid of that, and the Supreme Court stepped in and said, no, you can't do that. Even though the Supreme Court even acknowledged in that ruling that, this is an unconstitutional thing that Obama did, we're still going to uphold it because we like it. It was a political agenda, a political move that the Supreme Court did, and you know what? It was kind of crappy, wasn't it? The Supreme Court upheld an unconstitutional executive order, making it to where the executive branch did not have to enforce the laws of the land that are actually in the Constitution, throwing it away, bypassing the Constitution. I mean, let's face it, the Constitution is the biggest hurdle of the Democrat Party. It's the biggest hurdle of Washington, D.C., period. Of course they want to get rid of the Constitution. Should we be surprised about this? No. The Supreme Court ruled to uphold an unconstitutional order permitting law enforcement under the purview of the President of the United States of America to ignore law. And the Supreme Court even acknowledged that, it was an unconstitutional order and we're going to uphold an unconstitutional executive order. We don't have that Supreme Court anymore. We don't have a Democrat-controlled Supreme Court. I mean, we don't exactly have a Republican-controlled Supreme Court. I mean, Republican, if you want to say that the majority of them are Republican, as in they're part of the Republican Party, but that's not to say that they are actually conservatives, that they want to uphold, protect, and defend the Republic, that they actually give two shits about the Constitution. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that they are part of, as per them, because, we're the only party that allows rhinos. The Democrat Party doesn't allow dinos, but that's beside the point. All Trump has to do whenever he gets into office is wipe away these executive orders. That's all he has to do. I don't understand what the big deal is by even trying to claim that Joe Biden is even going to be able to do this. Because he can't. It's not going to work. It's not going to handicap President Trump from achieving his goal. Now, don't get me wrong. Congress can do a lot to hinder whatever Trump wants to do. I mean, that's why President Trump wasn't able to actually do as much as he wanted to during his first administration, because Congress wouldn't get in line. Congress wouldn't do it. Congress didn't care what the people wanted. They said, no, we're going to protect our own interests. We don't care about the people that actually elected us into office. That's why I agree with term limits. We absolutely should have term limits. We need to have a constitutional amendment, a convention of the states. There we go. That's that term I was looking for. Holy crap. We absolutely need to have one of those. And in all honesty, I think there should be two major points in the next constitutional convention of the states, what have you. One, term limits. I like the idea of term limits, but at the same time, if we did the other thing, as in, the next amendment to where no law written is going to affect the people differently than members of Congress, and and any law passed regarding members of Congress means that it's going to affect the people the same, then you ain't going to have to worry about all this crap going on in D.C. You look at, the pay raise that Congress just gave themselves. Really? You guys haven't done a budget since 2008. You guys don't do anything more than continual resolutions. That's all you guys do. Your job is to do 12 appropriation bills every single year, a budget, and you guys can't do it, and you want a pay raise for not doing your job? That's fucking ridiculous. You want to give yourself a pay raise? Well, then that's going to increase the pay of everybody else, because we're going to up the minimum wage, but yet they don't want to do that. Why? Because that's something that benefits all of the American people and not just themselves. You have Obamacare. Do you know that Obamacare was so awesome and amazing? You know, the Affordable Care Act, it was so great, so star-spangled, amazing, and awesome, and just the best piece of legislation that was ever written, that was ever passed by Congress, something that they told you that you can't know what's in it until after we pass it and it becomes a thing. It was so awesome. It was so amazing that they wrote themselves out of it to where they didn't have to abide by it. It was so amazing that they don't have to abide by it at all. Really. Huh. That kind of tells me that it's not awesome and amazing if they didn't want to be subject to the Affordable Care Act. You know, and all their buddies, they wrote in there to where they wouldn't have to follow it either. You know, and that was actually hilarious because, you know, the first people outside of people like us who spoke out against the Affordable Care Act, the majority of the people who did that were people who thought that they were going to be exempt just to find out they were just like everybody else. And then they were like, oh, this is bullshit. They didn't like it whenever they found out they were going to be subject to the Affordable Care Act. And they were the biggest people against the Affordable Care Act. Once they found out they weren't exempt from it, then they're like, oh, yeah, this is crap. Yeah, we don't want this. Why didn't you say that before the thing even got passed? Oh, because you thought you were special. Come to find out you wasn't, and then you were against it. You see, if they are held to the same standard that everybody else is, a lot of things in government would change. Do you think Nancy Pelosi would have the money that she has if she was held to the same standard that everybody else is as far as insider trading goes? I mean, hello, why is that not a thing? Why aren't they held to that standard? Because they like making money off the backside of Americans, off of everybody else. You wouldn't have to worry about half of the issues going on in Congress if you just did that one thing. Yes, I believe in term limits, but if you can't make money off the side, off of everything else, if you're held to the same standard as everybody else, you ain't going to have to worry about people going to Congress to die. You're not. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do want term limits. But if you just pass that one thing, if you just put that one thing as an amendment to the Constitution, that everybody is held to the same legal standard, then you ain't going to have to worry about it. You ain't going to have to worry about people going to Washington and getting rich. If they're held to the same legal standard as everybody else, insider trading would be a thing, and Nancy Pelosi would not be worth what she is now. It's insider trading. Moving on. This headline from the Daily Signal. Now, this is something that I have been hearing about for a while. This is a scare tactic, or just this is something that they have been saying, that when it comes to the inauguration of Donald Trump, that, you know, you know what, let's just go into the headline. What will January 6th committee Democrats do when it's time to certify Trump's win? That is the question. What are they going to do? Are they going to certify the election? Are they going to use the whole insurrection as a reason to deny the presidency to Trump? Is that what they are going to do? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to find out real soon. But I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. Because the January 6th committee was a joke, and we'll talk about that more a little later. But the January 6th committee was a joke. It was unconstitutional. And there are people that went to jail because they violated a subpoena that was issued by an unconstitutional committee that was investigating the happens-ons of January 6th. What are these people going to do? Not just the Democrats, but everybody that was on the January 6th committee. What's going to happen? People, they don't want Trump in office. They really don't. Because he's going to disrupt the status quo. If he has his way, if he is able to accomplish his goals and do what it is he wants to do, he's going to drain the swamp. He has already put enough of this out there to where the American people are aware now more than ever of what is going on. We see the deep state for what it is. And the deep state isn't hiding what it is that they are, because they know that they basically can do whatever the hell they want to and nothing's going to happen from it. They know this. They know that they can get away with doing anything they want to. The biggest problem with the deep state is that they are that they have the ability to protect themselves. In some ways, it is going to take an act of Congress to get rid of the deep state, because they're the ones who gave the power to the deep state, making it to where the deep state can protect themselves. It's going to take an act of Congress to get rid of it. But at least we, the people, see the deep state for what it is. I don't think anybody really understands just how deep the deep state goes. What all is actually in the deep state. I mean, they think that it's just these various bureaucracies in Washington, D.C. that are controlled out of Washington, D.C., these various departments, these various heads of these departments, like the, HUD and, Department of Education and all these other various departments of Washington, D.C., but it really does go deeper than that. It's broader than that. There is way more to it than that, and most people don't quite get just how deep the deep state is. It's huge, people. In one way, shape, or form, the federal government is the biggest, the absolute biggest single company that employs people. More people work for the federal government than any other company in this nation, in any nation. It's the biggest employer. How ridiculous is that? It's bigger than Walmart. It's bigger than Amazon. You pick the department chain, you pick the industry, they employ more people than Ameren. There's something wrong with that. So, of course, they do not want President Trump to be certified. They do not want him to become the next president. They really don't. And here's the next headline, which kind of goes into the title of today's show. Here's the new boss, the same as the old boss. This headline from Just the News. Mike Johnson slams Biden for giving presidential award to J6 panel. Utter embarrassment. And for those of you who don't know, yes, Mike Johnson became the next Speaker of the House, and in which case I don't know exactly how I feel about that. I really don't, because Mike Johnson, let's just face it, he still allowed the continuing resolution to get voted on, even though that was a complete violation of what he agreed to whenever he became Speaker the first time around, that we're not going to allow big, over-bloated bills that people don't have the ability or the time to read, and yet he violated that whenever he even let that go to the floor for a vote. He hasn't allowed Congress to do their job. 12 appropriation bills every single year. I'm against it. But yet here he is. The next Speaker of the House. Yay. It ticks me off. I don't know if it ticks you off, but it definitely ticks me off. But have you guys heard about what's been going on as far as, you know, with the, some of the stuff, some of the happenstances with what the president has been doing? You see, Biden has been giving people the Congressional Medal of Honor. I guess there's like 18 different people, if I remember correctly, like 18 different people that he is giving Congressional Medal of Honors to, one of which being Liz Cheney for her role in the January 6th committee. It's like, are you kidding me? I mean, granted, the Democrats loved it. The Democrats love Liz Cheney. Absolutely they do. But Liz Cheney, she did something illegal during the January 6th committee. Witness tampering. This is something that's illegal. And she's being praised. Being praised by the Biden administration for breaking the law. The unconstitutional January 6th committee that was caught witness tampering, that destroyed evidence, something else that is illegal, and these are the things that the January 6th committee did. Is there going to be any type of recourse for these people at all? The answer to that question is no. I mean, I highly doubt it. I mean, you know, this is the thing that, okay, people like you, people like me, yeah, we get ticked off about this kind of crap, and rightfully so. Because what we have is a double standard. What we have is a two-tier justice system, and that's not justice at all. It's not justice. We're not just sick and tired of people doing this stuff. We're sick and tired of them doing it and getting away with it. What's actually going to happen to Liz Cheney? Probably nothing. Does it matter if you do investigations? You can do investigations until you're blue in the freaking face. Is it going to change anything? No, because until you start punishing people for doing the Bravo Sierra that they do, you're not going to have any changes in how Washington, D.C. is run. Until there's consequences to their actions, what we have told them is regardless of whether they even get caught, they're still going to do it because there hasn't been any consequences. None. The Democrats are still continuously going to mishandle classified information. Is anything going to happen against it? No. Are they going to stop? No. Because we haven't done anything at all to stop them. Oh, if you're a Republican, you better not do anything. If you're a rhino Republican, you can do what you want. As long as you carry the water for the Democrat Party. But heaven forbid if you're a Republican, you can't do anything. And you try to do something, then they're going to attack you. And why do they continually do it all the freaking time? Why don't they care about mishandling classified information? Why don't they care about breaking the law time and time again? Why? Because we haven't done anything to stop them. We haven't held them accountable for their actions. They keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And until we stop them, until we hold them accountable, until we throw some stupid people in prison, ain't nothing going to change. I don't care about ongoing investigations. I could care less. Who gives a shit? I want to see people go to prison. I've seen enough Republicans go to prison. I want to see some Democrats go to prison. I want to see some criminals go to prison. I want to see Liz Cheney go to prison. I want to see Dr. Fauci go to prison. I don't want to see him get pardoned. I don't want to see him be praised by the American people. Or by government. I want to see him in prison. These are people who broke the law. Plain and simple. That's what they did. And yet we accept it. We accept it because we continually elect these people back into office. We accept it because we do not demand, as a nation, as one of we the people, we don't demand things to stop. We allow it to happen because we keep electing these people into office, even though we know they ain't going to do shit about it. I mean, I'm excited about what could happen during the second Trump term, but at the same time, I'm pretty indifferent about it. One, there's that likelihood that they don't even certify the election. I mean, they would have been pissed if Pence would have denied the election to Joe Biden. But yet, they want Kamala Harris to do the same thing that they would have destroyed Pence for doing and not certifying the election. They want people to break the law. They want people to do the very activity that they would have not accepted from Republicans, but yet they want it for themselves. Again, double standard. It's what they want. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, there's 14 or 16 different people that Joe Biden. Oh yeah, we are going to talk about that later with the Medal of Honor recipients. We'll get into that. We're going to take another quick break, and when I return, we are going to get into the lawsuit issue of what's going on with President Trump. We're going to be talking about the border czar. I mean, not the current border czar, but the incoming border czar. We're going to be talking about that. Deportations. I'm excited. And we're also then going to be getting into the Presidential Medal of Freedoms that Joe Biden is giving to people. And like I said, there's like, 18 different people. Yeah, I'm excited about that. Oh yeah, abso-freaking-lutely. All right, guys, just a couple minutes, and I'll be right back. Don't go nowhere.
Sunday morning, in my best Sunday clothes, sat down quietly in the second row close. Pastor preached on peace, love and grace. Then a loud noise echoed, turning every face. Ooh, sometimes the Spirit just moves you, turning solemn moments into quiet the view. Heads turn round and whispers abound. When you let one rip in a church, it's quite profound. Sister Mary shot a glare like a fiery dart, while old Mrs. Jenkins nearly lost her heart. Deacon Jones chuckled, tried to keep his poise as the church was filled with less than holy noise. Ooh, sometimes the Spirit just moves you, turning solemn moments into quite the view. Heads turn round and whispers abound. When you let one rip in a church, it's quite profound. Father Tim wiped his glasses, gave a resigned sigh. You could see the laughter twinkle in his eye. The choir held strong, their notes never slipped, even though the congregation was having fits. Next Sunday came with a silent prayer. I hope this week's service is less of a flare. But come the halfway mark, wouldn't you know, the Holy Spirit struck once more, putting on a show. A silent prayer. I hope this week's service is less of a flare. But come the halfway mark, wouldn't you know, the Holy Spirit struck once more, putting on a show. Sunday came with a silent prayer. I hope this week's service is less of a flare. But come the halfway mark, wouldn't you know, the Holy Spirit struck once more, putting on a show.
Do you love your occasional Mexican dish or your musical fruit? Are you tired of walking by family members and crop dusting them? Well, if this has ever happened to you, might I introduce you to Tampons brand butt plugs. Tampons brand butt plugs is that particular type of butt plug that allows you to walk in public in confidence knowing that you're not going to accidentally crop dust somebody. Tampons brand butt plugs now with the plastic applicator.
Not just for women anymore.
Tampons brand butt plugs. Oh yeah, and we are back. Let's go ahead and dive into this segment because this is interesting. It really will. It really is. There we go. I can speak. Really, I can. All right. Headline from the Daily Mail. Furious Donald Trump reacts to judge ruling he will be sentenced in hush money case days before the inauguration. That is said to take place on January 10th. There it is. From Newsmax, judge sets Trump sentence in New York case for January 10th, but he signals no jail. And yet, just so you know, this is another ploy that they're going to be using to try to take the presidency away from Donald Trump, giving them, saying that this gives them the authority to not certify the election. Just so you know, that's why they're wanting to do this. But he's rightfully ticked about this, as in President Trump. He's rightfully ticked, and he should be. Because, okay, just a quick recap into this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but just a quick recap. Giving shut the hell up money to a porn star, to anybody, it's not illegal. It's not. Having somebody sign an NDA and giving them shut the hell up money is not illegal. In this case, it was kind of obvious, because, you had whomever his attorney was at the time who came out and said that, well, Trump didn't tell him to do it. He did it on his own accord. Trump isn't the one who filed the payment as a legal offense, which, what else are you going to file it away as? What else are you going to tag it as? What else are you going to label the payment to a lawyer for besides a legal expense? Because, if you've ever worked in QuickBooks, if you've ever had to do balancing and things like that for a company, shut the hell up money for a prostitute, for a porn star isn't something you can do. You got business expense. You have, stuff for this, stuff for that, legal expense, but shut the hell up money to a porn star is not something you can do. And of which case, the payment was made in February, months after the election, and yet they're going to rule it as election interference, even though, the filing happened after the election. So yeah, Trump's pissed, as he should be. Because this whole thing is completely ridiculous. They did this because they wanted to go after Trump, pure and simple. They wanted to make him a criminal. They wanted to make him a felon. They wanted to do all this. They wanted to try to disqualify Trump for being president, even though people still voted for him. They're still going to try to take it away from him. Make no mistake, that's what they're going to do. Don't be surprised. And I'll be curious to see what actually happens. I will be. I'll be very curious to see what happens. Because we all know what's at stake. We all know that this country can't handle any more time of the Democrat Party. We all know this. Of course we know this. But Biden is doing quite a bit to it really was kind of funny. Let me just go ahead and get into this, because this is ridiculous. It really is. So this headline from the New York Post: as Biden company leave, they're doing their best to trash the country they claim to serve. And yeah, that's what they're doing. Have you been paying attention to what the Biden administration's been doing? Have you been? Have you been paying attention? This headline from CBS News: Biden awards Presidential Medal of Freedom. Wow, I misspoke on that. I apologize. To Hillary Clinton, Michael J. Fox, Lionel Messi, and more. Apparently, there's I actually don't know how many people. I really don't, because, well, that's not going to go anywhere. There is, one of them says, or one headline I have says 18 different people, and another one I have says 19 medals of freedom. So I'm not exactly sure which one it is. I'm not exactly sure how many people. Oh yeah, that's the one that doesn't want me to do any of that. So I'm not even sure. Hold on, let me, I'll find it. I'll get into it. Let me get into this other one here real quick. The 17. Let's see what this one will let me do. Yeah, here we go. All right, so this one is CBS, yes. 17 different people. Let me see if it, oh, of course not. No, maybe. Okay. All right, here we go. So the people that it's saying that he's going to or wants to award the Presidential Medal of Freedom: Bono. Sorry. Ashton Carter, whoever that is, served as former U.S. Secretary of Defense under former President Barack Obama. Hillary Clinton. Michael J. Fox, okay. Tim Gill, Jane Goodall, Fannie Lou Hammer, whatever. Irvin Magic Johnson, okay. Robert F. Kennedy, okay. Ralph Lauren, Lionel Messi. I think that was up here already. Anyway, going back down there, William Sanford Nye, as in Bill Nye the Science Guy. George Romney. David M. Rubenstein. George Soros, of course. George Stevens Jr., Denzel Washington, Anna Wintour. Yeah, these are the people that he is, at least reportedly, going to be giving the Presidential Medal of Freedom to. Just, I mean, come on, people, really? It's just a stunt. Granted, it's absolutely just a stunt. But, to be given the, Medal of Freedom to George Soros, to Hillary Clinton, I mean, that's a slap in the face to Americans. You look at what she did, the mishandling of classified information, the things that, is, the rest of the Obama-Biden administration is guilty of doing as well, and you're going to give her the Medal of Freedom with what she did, breaking the law, and that's acceptable. Okay. Yeah, of course. Of course it's okay that happens. Absolutely. Anyway, let's go into this headline from News Nation. News Nation? Yeah, that's what it says. News Nation. Trump border czar says that he will override sanctuary city roadblocks. I really hope he does. I really do. One of the other things that I would like to see happen as far as dealing with, sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, the first and foremost, what they should do is deny them federal money, federal grants, federal money, period. That's what they need to do. Deny them money from FEMA, with trying to help them pay for the housing of illegals. Housing illegals. I mean, let's face it, this is against the law. I mean, let's just add that in there. You are aiding and abetting. Last time I checked, that was against the law. Why are we allowing unlawful activity to be tolerated from a state, violating federal law? Because that's what we're doing. We're allowing them to violate federal law. Nothing's happening to them. That would be the best way, without making a huge ordeal out of it, without trying to arrest governors, without trying to arrest mayors, without trying to arrest anybody, just denying them federal money would make things turn around real quick. I mean, we're not going to pay you to violate federal law. Make a statement. Hold them accountable. Oh, so California, you don't want to abide by federal law. You don't want to assist ICE. You want to aid and abet. Okay, well, that's criminal activity. We're no longer going to give you money. We're not going to arrest you, but we're going to make you accountable for the Bravo Sierra that you want to back and support. I mean, the only reason why these various states and cities are able to do this is because they are being subsidized by the American people. They're being subsidized by the federal government. They are being subsidized by you and me. We're paying for all this. That's one of the reasons why the debt is as the debt is. Because we keep paying for crap that we shouldn't be paying for. I mean, we're the United States of America, and, I'm sorry, but our money, taxpayer dollars, should be spent first and foremost on the American citizenry. Protecting and defending the homeland. Helping out in natural disasters, not paying for illegals, not sending money abroad, not paying for gender studies in Afghanistan, not paying for gender studies in Pakistan. These aren't the things that our money, our tax dollars should be spent on. And the only reason why this kind of stuff happens is because, well, lobbyists. The fact that we've not had a budget, we've not done the 12 appropriations bills, and I don't even know how long, 2008, but that's beside the point. These are just some of the things that we can do to hold these people accountable and make it to where our tax dollars aren't wasted. Isn't that what we are first and foremost against? The waste that happens in D.C. I don't know about you, but I am. I'm sick and tired of the waste that happens in D.C. It really does need to stop. I know I'm kind of bouncing back and forth on this. I do. But pay attention. Inauguration Day. Pay attention for whenever they certify the election. Let's see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm concerned. I'll be honest with you. Moving on. Let's see, I know there was other stuff I was wanting to get into. Let me go ahead and look in here right quick. I already talked about that. You know, this might actually be an early show. Wow. I'm just kind of going through to see if there's anything else I am wanting to talk about before we sign off. And there is something I would like to bring up because there were two things that happened not that long ago. And we'll get into that right after a quick break. I got to go to the bathroom. Let's see, what song do I want to play? This is absolutely hilarious. Y'all will enjoy this. I'll be right back.
Alarm clock rings like a wild hurricane. Eyes half open, I'm feeling the strain. Stumble out of bed, it's another new day. What's my routine? What's the best way? First the shirt, then button it tight. Mirror reflection, looking just right. Should I go sock, sock, shoe, shoe now? Or break the rules and mix it up somehow? Do you do sock, sock, shoe, shoe? Or sock, shoe too? Does it matter in the morning light? When your day's gonna be alright? Do you do sock, sock, shoe, shoe? Or sock, shoe too? Does it matter in the morning light? When your day's gonna be alright? Jeans or skirt, what mood am I in? Coffee brewing, let the day begin. Brush my teeth, yeah, I start to grin. Choices we make, let the fun spin. It's the little things that brighten up your day. The quirks and routines in a special way. Whether you choose to go left or right, it all comes down to feeling just right. Do you do sock, sock, shoe, shoe? Or sock, shoe too? Doesn't matter in the morning light. When your day's gonna be alright. Do you do sock, sock, shoe, shoe? Or sock, shoe too? Does it matter in the morning light? When your day's gonna be alright?
Have you ever had an ailment that a normal over-the-counter remedy just couldn't fight? If this is the case, then boy, have I got the solution for you. Tussin. That's right, Tussin. Cough? Tussin. Cold? Tussin. Runny nose? Tussin. Itchy watery eyes? Tussin. Broken leg? Tussin. Tussin is the ultimate cure-all, guaranteed to stop anything that ails you. Tussin. Available wherever OTCs are sold. All right, and we are back. Yeah, I know that song is a little on the ridiculous side, but you know what? I don't care. I think it's funny. I really do. You know, because that's one of the questions. As far as the morning routine goes, whenever you are getting dressed in the morning, do you do sock, sock, shoe, shoe, or do you do sock, shoe, shoe? It's a question. I can even take that another step further. Do you do sock, shoe, tie, or sock, shoe, tie, tie? Or sock, shoe, tie, I mean, if you throw Ty in there, you got a whole nother level of shenanigans that you can ask, because that's a legitimate question. Which do you do in the morning? Sock, sock, shoe, shoe, or sock, shoe? Let's throw a Ty in there to really, make the shenanigans even worse. So let me know in the comments. Send me an email, HoHo@theHoHoShow.com. I want to know, when you're getting dressed in the morning, how do you do it? And when you're putting on your pants, do you do left leg first or do you do right leg first? I do left. I don't know about y'all's. And my sock, shoe, I mean, that really depends. I don't have a set way that I do it. It varies from day to day. It varies on, what footwear I'm putting on as to how I do it. Because it just kind of depends. Just throwing that out there. I don't know how it is for you. But for me, it depends. It's not the same all the time. It just depends. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. So, this article from Fox News, let me go ahead and pull it up. New Orleans terrorist, man in Las Vegas Cybertruck explosion, shared more links and attacks just hours apart. So for those of you that are not aware, in New Orleans, there was a person in a truck, not the Cybertruck, these are two different things, that crashed through people. Several people were killed. And it was, we have the name of the guy that did both of them, actually. Because first they were trying to say that, this wasn't terrorism. And then, yeah, it's terrorism and all kinds of other stuff. And I'm not... We have a name. The name doesn't necessarily mean terrorist, but yeah, it was a terrorist attack. It was. And apparently both of them went to, not in the same year, but like the same school, I believe. Some links between it. And then the Las Vegas Cybertruck explosion. We have the name of that guy. And I guess as normal, they're not releasing information as far as any type of a manifest, his religion, his political leanings. There's a lot that of course the left is not talking about. They don't want that information out there, but whatever. My heart goes out to the victims on this, absolutely. And here's why I bring this up. I get so irritated. I don't know about you, but I get so irritated when the left's mantra is never waste a tragedy. Anytime something like this happens, the very first things that they do is they want to talk about gun control. They want to talk about how bad people on the right are. They want to talk about, terrorism whenever it's on the right. They want to talk about anything and everything that supports, defends, backs up their agenda, their narrative that they want to spread. That's how they do it. They don't care about being right. They care about being first, and they will do everything in their power to smear Republicans, Americans, guns, whatever the case may be. It pisses me off that they politicize absolutely everything. I don't know about you, but it ticks me off whenever they do this, and they do it all the time. If it's something that doesn't fit their narrative, then they don't want to talk about it. If it's something that does fit their narrative, they won't shut up about it. And you can always tell which one it is, because these are things that, if it's in the negative to the Democrat agenda, then it doesn't see national news, or it doesn't stay in the spotlight very long. They'll bring it up and then they'll cover it up. That's pretty much what it amounts to. That's how legacy media treats things. That's how the Democrats treat things. That's how it is in their playbook. I don't even like it when Republicans politicize things. It's not the time to politicize things. It's just not. Tragedy happened. We need to acknowledge the tragedy, and we need to do things to help make it to where the tragedy doesn't happen. And one thing that's interesting, as far as something that you don't see, a topic, a stance you don't see taking place right now is, they're not talking about banning the Cybertruck. They're not talking about banning trucks in general. They're not talking about banning vehicles, putting further restriction on driver's licenses. They're not talking about this. They're not holding the vehicle accountable. They're not wanting to hold, Tesla accountable for the truck exploding. They're not wanting to, they're not talking about holding the truck manufacturer accountable for what happened on Bourbon Street. They're not talking about that. But yet, if a gun was involved, those would be the exact conversations they would be having right now. Let's ban the gun. And it ticks me off whenever you hear that is the only time that kind of argument is ever made. They don't talk about banning knives whenever a knife is used. They don't talk about banning bats whenever a bat is used. They don't talk about banning axes whenever an axe is used. They don't talk about banning vehicles whenever a vehicle is used, but they always talk about banning guns and holding the gun manufacturer accountable for crimes that they had nothing to do with. And they always want to talk about gun control as if, making more laws is going to stop a criminal from possessing, getting, acquiring, or using a gun in an unlawful act. I mean, these type of things are already illegal. Why throw another law on there? I get sick and tired of the politicization, the politics of the whole thing. English, man, I can speak. I can. Do you get sick and tired of the politicization? I know I do. I get sick and tired of legacy media coming out and always going with the wrong narrative or going with a narrative, and specifically a narrative that doesn't fit the situation. And then whenever the truth comes out, they ignore it. They don't want to talk about it. They'll issue a retraction on the bottom of the page. They don't want to be upfront with, their politics, with their bias, because that's what it is. It's bias. You get sick and tired of this stuff? Are you sick and tired of being taken advantage of? Because I know I am. Sick and tired of being taken advantage of. And these places wonder why they're losing viewership. They wonder why they're losing subscriptions. These people wonder why they're having a hard time staying afloat. If you don't start valuing information, truth, over politics, then you're not going to last. You're not going to make it. I'm grateful at the fact that we have finally told Legacy News that we don't value your opinion anymore. You don't provide us with facts, and we don't care about your opinion. It is at least a little reassuring to hear that these various places are struggling. They're having to make adjustments to programming and to talent on their various stations and in these various places. I like that. I was like, yes. I would like to see more of that. My heart goes out to these victims. These type of things shouldn't be happening in the United States. I absolutely want freedom. But first and foremost, we need to protect our homeland. And there's a lot we can do to do that. Yes. All right, guys, that is all. Hey, Dave over there in Rumble Land. Good to see you, sir. He says, hey, good afternoon. Sorry I got here late and missed most of the show. Sock, shoe, shoe. Tie. That's all right. Sock, shoe, tie. That's how Dave does it. That is awesome. That and that song, that cracked me up. It really did. It cracked me up. Yes. All right, guys, that is all I got for today. That is it. I know I'm bugging out of here a little early, but yeah. So you can head on over there to thehohoshow.com. Just click on the newsfeed tab and you'll see my magazine over there on Flipboard. Check out all the articles that I have used. I think there's like 39 different articles that I use. Let me go ahead and look right quick. 29 stories that I used. And of course, WSP Radio is live again back over on radio.com. Or I'm sorry, radio.co. I got that wrong again. And you can head on over to WSPradio.com and even see the chat, hear the different things that are available. The schedule is back up. Everything is going. I am excited. Yes, I am. WSPradio.com. Check it out. Take a listen, see. Enjoy. Participate in the chat. All that other kind of good stuff. So y'all have yourself a great one, and I will see you in the next one. This has been The HoHo Show. For more information, you can head to thehohoshow.com. And for the merchandise store, you can head on over to stinkpickle.com. That is stinkpickle.com. Until next time.